Howdy y'all, Fuzzy Biker here in the mighty metropolis of Marnie, Iowa, and look what we have today. Royal Enfield's Interceptors, but we've got this one over here, a 1970 Royal Enfield Mark II 750. That is a unique machine. I'm also told it's one of the last handful made, part of the last run. They checked the serial number and probably the last 50 or 100 or something like that. Very limited bike. That is a Norton they're kicking over yonder. Can y'all hear that? I hope it gets it running. I'd like to ride it. So the engine on this is an overhead valve, air-cooled, 736cc parallel twin. There it is. Check that out. Isn't that just gorgeous? Has two concentric amals, 30 millimeter. This has got velocity stacks on it. I don't know if it was factory that way. External oil lines from the oil pump. From the oil pump up through here, pressurized oil to the heads. This is the oil filter here. Isn't that neat? And that also feeds the, that's the oil cooler right there. Very different than the 68 that we looked at here a while back. This has a points cover on the side. This is a coil bike now. The points are under here like a Triumph would have. I think the oil pump is still here, which is a very different looking motor. It looks like the transmission bolts, the back of the engine right here. 4-speed, 1 up, 3 down. So 1 up, 2, 3, 4. And the neutral right there. This is a neutral finder, positive neutral finder. I think the 68 did not have that neutral finder. This one does. I just love the way these things look. The fins on the bottom. I think this is considered a true wet sump engine by now. Just a gorgeous thing. The other was a dry sump within the case. It had a separate sump for the oil within the case. But just look at all the little details here. Just absolutely gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. This is art to me, my friends. Oh, and the engine, by the way, hangs. The frame stops right about here. The engine hangs, and then it picks up back here again. Now, this bike has a skid plate on the bottom, and we'll talk about that here in a minute. Those are definitely not the factory pipes, by the way. Hopping over to this side of the engine, this is the tack drive right here. Mechanical tack drive. This thing right here. Comes off one of the cams. The other cam's over here. Let's see if we can spot. I don't know where the push rods run on these. Primary cover here. Notice there are no primary screws all the way around, just like on the 68. It's got that center bolt, just like the 68 did, just like the 55, the Tomahawk that we looked at did also. Just a gorgeous machine, isn't it? I'm guessing that's where the oil goes in. That's probably a vent tube right here that goes out the back. Just check out those. Oh, just gorgeous. Here's more of that oil cooler in the front. I like it. I like it a lot. Hey, the horn back there, just like on the 68. On this side, we've got a rectifier, but this engine has an alternator on it. It's a 12-volt engine now. I talked about it has the coils. The coils are probably back here somewhere. The points are up here. Here's one of the spark plug wires right here. There's the other one right there. Like I said, this is right off the truck, so we haven't done anything to it. It hasn't been through the shop at all. Once it goes through the shop, I will do my best to get a ride on this hot rod. We'll try to get a video made of that if it doesn't sell before that happens. A couple of the other numbers. We were talking about a 4-speed. It's got a 2.3 gallon tank. A beautiful chrome tank. Look at that little baby tank. Just gorgeous. It's 7.8 liters. The wheelbase is 57 inches. 1,448 millimeters. Check that out. You can see the sump, really see the sump there. Sump guard. You can really see the sump guard there. Ground clearance, 5 3/4 inches. That's 146 millimeters. That's probably without the sump guard. I don't think that's a factory piece, but who knows. Seat height on this from the factory would have been 30.5 inches, 775 millimeters. And of course, that has been a seat that's been redone. So weight, and I couldn't find whether this was a dry or wet, but I've got 426 pounds. That's 193 kilograms. And I'm going to bet you that that's wet weight. It's supposed to have a Norton front end. I think they said it might have had a Norton clutch in it. They came from the factory that way. I don't know if that's the original front brake or not. I've got conflicting information on my details here. The front tire was supposed to be a 3 1/4 by 19. The rear tire was supposed to be a 4 by 18. And the top speed of this bike was supposed to be 117 miles an hour, by the way. And this brake, like I said, I don't know if it's original, but here's an inlet for cooling. These are outlets for, let the air out. It's a dual leading shoe. And these inlets were usually kept closed unless they were racing, because they didn't want water to get in there. And of course, you can see the ribbing in the center there for cooling. Just gorgeous. Look at that fender. Metal stays. Just a beautiful, beautiful thing. Chrome headlight pot. Just gorgeous. Look at the housing on that. Wow. Those are aluminum. I wonder if that's factory. Interesting. We'll come back to that in a bit. Jumping back here. Swing arm, of course. Dual shock back end. Enclosed shocks. Snail adjusters for the chain. This is the speedometer drive right here. They ran the speedometers off the back then. I think the back brake was supposed to be an 8-inch. I don't know. I'd have to measure it. I don't even know if I could do that right now. Mechanical brake, of course, drum. Here is the switch for the brake lights. I always get a kick out of these. You know, that was the microelectronics of the day. So, fulcrum point, the foot lever. That's where the brake was actuated, the brake light. And that's the actual brake adjuster there with the brake shoe right there, brake drum. Horn right there, we talked about that already. Did I talk about this already? No screws in the primary cover. The primary cover has a central bolt. It's squeezed on, and that's supposed to help alleviate oil leaking in some way or another. I'm not sure how that system works. Look at that detail there. RE, is that what that says right there? That is really cool, an R with an E in the center. Can you all see that? I like it. I love this. This is just gorgeous. Tachometer drive right here. And I think that's probably for the alternator right there, that wire. Hey, let's take a look up here. Foam grips, very nice. Clutch. Probably the choke. Horn. Don't know what that is. I'm guessing that's a headlight. Amp meter right there. Probably the high beam indicator right there. Looks like Smith's gauges here. I'm going to put a website for the guy right now. I'm going to put it right here. And he's a guy here in Iowa that actually, he works on these, does repairs and rebuilds on Smith's gauges worldwide. He can do new faces, the whole internals, everything you possibly want, he does it. And he's located just miles from this location. Isn't that beautiful? Made in UK. I'm sure these are magnetic by this point. This side, it's the brake. Looks like not much else. Mirrors are folded down for transport. Isn't that just gorgeous? You know, back in the day, this made somebody a very happy person. So this will go through the Baxter Cycle Vintage Shop. They will tear this thing apart, put it back together, and it'll run like a champ. Baxter Cycle is the largest British vintage motorcycle parts supplier in North America. They've got buildings full of old British bike parts like this, new and used, and they can make this thing work. If you're in the market for a classic British bike, or parts for your bike, or information for your bike or your project, get a hold of those guys, baxtercycle.com. Ask for Randy or Jeremy. They can really help you out. Isn't that just a beauty? They also sell new Royal Enfields, and they are constantly customizing them. I rode that one just a bit ago. We're going to ride that one later when they get it finished. They got a little more work to do to that one. All right, my friends, it's a beautiful day, and I'm going to go enjoy it on a motorcycle. Y'all do the same. Wahoo!